Welcome to Reachable Talk. Welcome, everyone. So glad that you are here for our third episode of Reachable Talk, evangelizing through conversation. I am so excited to have this conversation on today with someone that that has been in my heart for years, since the first day that I met her. It was a connection like no other. It was a connection like no other. It was a journey as well. But I am so glad that this day has come for us to talk. Before we start this conversation, I do want to dedicate this episode to someone that's dear to me, my sister, evangelist Sharon Juhans. And I want to dedicate this to my sister because she was out there with me when we first started going out in the streets. She was with me and we were together. We were a team. And again, she was there on the streets, helping and reaching out to people. And I know if she was here today, she would probably be on this podcast today as well. So I want to introduce our guest. Her name is Tammi Wilkerson, and I am excited to have her here. This episode is titled Determination, and it's titled Determination because you have to have that. You have to have determination to change. You have to have determination to go through the steps that you need to go through to make a change in your life. Whatever it is that you think that you need to change in your life, you have to be determined, and that determination helps you succeed. And so with further ado, I want to bring on Miss Tammi Wilkerson. Hey, boo-boo. This is my boo. This is my boo. So I want to talk about how we met. If I need to start, let me start by saying many years ago. I think it was like in 1996. I had just had this feeling at the time. I thought it was a feeling, but it was really a ministry that God was birthing. But to feed the homeless in DC. Didn't know where I was going. Didn't know anything, what I was doing, where I was going. And I took it back to my supervisor at the time. And I said, I want to feed the homeless. So we did it as a job, community outreach. We went out as a job, employees and coworkers. We went out and we did it. And we were down, I think, on Pennsylvania Avenue. And so after that, it was like, okay, the Lord was speaking to me. This is what you need to continue doing. And so my sister Sharon, calling my boo, I talked to her about it. I don't know how the conversation came up, but she was like, okay, I want to go. And so we started going every weekend. It was every Saturday. We would go, and Mama Rose, Sister Sharon's mother, started out cooking the food for us. to take down to feed the homeless or those who were in DC at the time. And so this particular one day, I don't know how we was led down on Pennsylvania Avenue, but we got down there on Pennsylvania Avenue. And again, didn't know anybody, didn't know anything. And we just went on Pennsylvania Avenue. And this is where I met Tammi. It was several down there, and we're going to get into all who was down there. But and I met Tammi, and I want to say this: from the first time that I met her, she gave me a run. She wasn't the nicest, and she didn't want these church women coming down here giving her anything, and just wanted us to leave her alone. Like she was the only one down there, right? We was down there for everybody, but she didn't want to be bothered with us. And I remember one of the first things I said to her when I asked her what her name was, and she said Tammi. And I said, with a name like Tammi, you're not going to be out here on these streets. And I think that's when I told her my name was Tammi. So it was just like, no, you're not going to be out here. Okay, Tammi, you can jump in this conversation. I'm gonna let you say something. Is that how you remember, or how did you remember, or do you remember?
Give me the question again.
How do you remember our encounter? I know that you did. It went a little bit more than that, but that was the main.
It wasn't that I didn't want these church women around or you around and stuff like that. I was busy. I was doing things. You know, at the time I was in my den, and it was like I was interfering in that. You know, it wasn't that you wasn't wanted. I knew you was needed, you know, especially with me being the only woman in the group, you know, and that's one of the things that I appreciated about you, because being a woman on the street, you require different things than the men. And you always saw to it that I had the personal things that I needed as a female. And that's what kept me, you know, really attached to you, because that's not an everyday thing. And then most people come, they do the men thing, the stuff that they got mostly is for women, you know, and it's just a different thing when you're a woman on the street, you know, plus take care of your personal need, your hygienes and all that kind of stuff, you know. And it's just a different thing. But I appreciated all that y'all had did. And I never forgot you. I was surprised when you called me the other day, because and glad to hear from you, because I had sent someone with my number years ago to give to you to call me. There was a gentleman that I worked with about 10 years ago, and we was talking one day, and he happened to mention the name of his church. And I remember that being your church. And I asked him, I said, do you have a young lady named Tammi at your church? He said, yeah, Tammi, somebody. I said, that's her. I said, give her my number. But I never heard from you, so I didn't know what was going on. But later on, it was explained to me. And actually, Thomas told me that he wasn't seeing you at church no more, but I didn't know what that had meant, you know, whether you went to another church or whatever the case may be. But I was really surprised when you called me the other day. But I'm glad that you did. And
I was so excited. I was hollering, screaming when I called you then. I was so excited.
Let me tell you something. You wanted a good one, because most people that met me in my past, they don't even want to see me no more. Hear from me no more. I still had people walking up to me. Girl, when I first met you, you was looking so mean. You were so evil. I was scared of you. I get that from so many people. But now that they personally know me, they now understand they had the wrong impression. But I get that from so many people. Just it's
Well,
just
no,
that look.
you were. They just had to stick it out, but
yeah.
so
I don't,
I want you to tell, because some people think because they just see you now, they're looking at you for the first time. People looking at you for the first time is like, okay, you're saying she was homeless, but what do that mean? Because she don't look like she was homeless. That could mean, I want you to actually tell the people how it is to live on the street. Tell them what your
what my experience was. But being the type of person that I am, I wasn't scared of anything. Mm-hmm. But I just did everything. First of all, I was on drugs. I was using drugs and alcohol. I started at a very young age. I think I was about 16 when I started. And actually, I stayed in the streets, homeless, about 25 years before I got clean. That wasn't something I had to do because I was down. I was in the area, Second D shelter. I could have just as well went in anyone in the shelters, house or roof, whatever. It was what I chose. I chose to be homeless versus not chose to be homeless, but I chose to be out on the street versus going into a shelter. Because a shelter limits you, especially if you're using drugs. You have to go in at a certain time, have to be out at a certain time. And when you're a person that's using drugs, you have your own schedule. I went 24/7. I can't make no curfew going up in no shelter. I'm going to lose my bed every night. I can't make that curfew, I'd rather be out here where I can do what I want to do, get my hand on what I want to get my hand on, and just do the things that I got to do freely without any restrictions. And to me, at that time, that's what a shelter did. It had, like I said, the curfews and all. I can't make no curfew. I'm doing some things, I'm way over here. I'm way over there. I mean, in the day's time, you put more mileage on your feet than a person put on a car, because when you're dealing with crack, it's a serious thing. Once you start smoking crack, you just go all day long. You go 4 or 5 days sometime without eating, 5, 6, 7 days without sleeping. You just can't stop doing what you're doing, and you just like a robot. You just moving all day long, here, there, everywhere. So shelter was out for me. That curfew wasn't working for me. I was just getting started then. Lights done went out, dog outside. It's time to make a move now. But the homeless piece for me, that was sleeping on park benches, heat grates, running to all the food kitchens around town, once I managed to stop smoking. Now I know that I'm hungry, need to change clothes, stuff like that. So I saw, running around to the churches. They got a lot of places in DC, and it actually kind of hinders you, because you got places where you can bathe, you got places that feed you, you got places that give you clothes, all the things that you need to keep right on doing what you're doing, So I used all the facilities, depends on what area I was in at that time. And that's how life was for me. I lost my kids to foster care, using drugs and alcohol. And one of the blessings is all my kids are back in my life today,
Yes.
And that's one of the things that sometimes we struggle with when we get clean. Family don't want to be bothered with you no more, Kids don't forgive for being out their life all them years, and and it just goes on and on and on and on. But
I'm sorry, Tammi, me to cut you off. So let's just talk, because I know, because I seen, but I'm trying to paint this picture for those who would see homeless people out, like if you're driving and you see, but you really don't really know the struggle that it is to be out there. And take me through a typical night out there.
Are you talking about the homeless part, or are you talking about the addiction part?
Both.
Because they're two different things.
Both. Give me the homeless and the addiction.
I want to put this. Well, falls to drug addiction. A typical night is running all night long. You've been out there all night long, smoking, drinking, doing anything, everything, been everywhere, all over the place. And once daylight start breaking, then you're trying to find a cubbyhole to crawl into. You see decent folks, clean, dressed, going to work, and you just trying to slink in a hole and get out of the way somewhere, hoping that nobody see you and know what you're doing. And that's just a typical night. You just run all night, and once that break comes, now you're trying to get somewhere. Because it's like, at nighttime, it's almost like the city shuts down, and it's just us out there doing what we want to do. But come break of dawn, we understand people are going to work. People are moving around now. It's daylight. People can see us, so we start, going the way back streets and all this, trying to find a hole to crawl in, And that's hard sometimes, because actually when you're homeless out there, people don't want you around. They just don't want you around. You might find a doorway to crawl up in, somebody telling you to move on. You're trying to, get something to eat, and people just telling you to move on. You're just not wanted when you're homeless. People just shoo you off, push you off. Just get away. Just get away. So you find yourself in a position where you have nowhere to go. You have nowhere to turn. You just don't know what to do with yourself. And at that point, you just find a hole and crawl up in it and hide until the lights go out again. Then you're able to, to move without people, bothering you and stuff like that. Because once the lights go down, the only thing that seems to be moving is your kind.
Gotcha.
People that's doing what you doing. Decent folks are in the house, believe me. Decent folks are in the house. They ain't cutting through the alleys and all that kind of stuff with us. But it's a struggle being out there, and it's just different parts to it. It was easy getting clothes, food, and stuff like that. It was just finding something to do with yourself at different times of the day and stuff. Sometimes you might come in at the crack of dawn, then you realize, I ain't ate nothing in 3-4 days. My head for the 9:30 club, get something to eat. And half the time you done ate 2 spoons and your face is in the plate, you sleep, because you've been up 7 to 8 days. Once you stop and sit down somewhere, then you just, you just out of it. You just like pass out.
Right.
And then you wake up and you just start all over again. It's just a cycle. It never stops.
So I do want to say this, even though you were out there, living out there, living on the great. I want to put this out here. Now, Tammi Great, she didn't play. She did not play. It had to be clean by her great. She did not play. And if, because it seemed like we all gravitated around her great. Like we all gravitated, all the conversations, everybody talking, everybody, because see, Tammi Great was like up on the wall. It was a wall. So her great was up and we were like down here on the sidewalk. But everybody gravitated to where she was, even though we was down on the sidewalk talking and we'd be doing, and when she had enough, she'd be like, either y'all take that noise up there somewhere, or if they were eating. Make sure you pick up your trash. Do not leave no trash down here. And I want to put this out here, and I told you this too. Tammi was the only female down there. Now it was females that would come, and they would come with other people, like Dion would bring, females that, but living down there, Tammi was the only one. And when I tell you, she did not play, and they all knew that she did not play, and she held her own down there with men. But the other part about it, friendships were formed down there. So it's not like, they just out there, don't nobody. No, it was friendships. We would go down, even when we went down there to feed. I mean, we get down there 8 in the morning, 8:30 or something in the morning. I mean, we down there to probably 1 or 2 o'clock, because we all out there talking. And I really want to put a visual to, it's not, they just bad people. You know what I'm saying? People, because you made a point when you said people just shoot you off. They don't want to be bothered.
Yeah.
But you have people that is down there, educated, was professors, had jobs. So I always say you could be one circumstance away from being homeless. And it's not that people down there are nothing. Like they don't have the mental stability. Now some, by being out there, played on their mental, but who they were before they got down there was just ordinary people and circumstances. And so the friendships formed, and we would be down there talking and laughing and having fun. But I want to say one thing about you is, even though you was mean and you cussed me out the first couple of times, when we formed our friendship, I want to say all of that you did, you was respectful to me. It was like it turned off. Like it's something about she didn't even remember cussing me out and being mean to me. Because then she was like, we were good. Like she don't need none of that happened again. But also you looked out for me down there. Like you wouldn't let anything happen to me. You wouldn't let none of them disrespect me. And they never did. Thank God we formed friendships. But even if we were all around and they were getting into their little cussing matches or whatever, you'd be like, oh, wait, y'all, take that up there. Don't be down here with all that. Take that up there. So when I say that you have like a place in my heart, you have a place in my heart. And I always talk about you. I always talk about you. And I want to say this too. You always talked about your children. You were out there. You talked about your children. And so I guess now I really want to talk, if we get into the drug, you said, what was your drug choice out there?
Originally, I started off with alcohol because that was something that just everybody in my family did. And the funny thing about it, my mother taught us about drugs and not using drugs and what drugs could do to you. My mother herself would even, like when she was on medication or something like that, she would cut a pill in half. And she would always say things like, because I don't want to get addicted to that stuff. I'm just going to take half of this, things like that. But I was the only one of her children that got involved in crack and actually left home and went out in the streets. And my mother had 6 children. And me and my mother was very close. We always have been since I was small. And what a lot of people didn't know was like holidays and stuff like that. I would stop at the phone and call my mother and say things like, Merry Christmas, Mom, Happy Birthday, Happy Thanksgiving Day. That was my way because I wasn't having everyday contact with her and I knew she was concerned and worried about me. That was my way of letting her hear my voice every now and then and knowing that I was all right. Mm-hmm. Because when we're out there, we think that we are not hurting anybody. This is me. I can do what I want to do. I'm not hurting nobody. And that's not true. We have family. They are worried about us. My mother let me know this. We have family. They are worried about us. My mother was telling me things like every time they seen something on the news one time where they had found a young lady dead out in the alley or something. My mother said they actually went to the mall to see if it was me. And she said after that, she kept a black dress in the closet because she just didn't know, and some of the things that my mother told me after I cleaned, I'm like, oh my God. And we think that we not hurting nobody because it's just something that we doing. But you have family, kids in foster care, not knowing what happened to me. My mother worried, don't know if I'm in the alley, dead or alive. I got sisters and brothers worrying about me and stuff like that, But I tell you, when I got here, my mother passed in 2019, right? And one of the blessings was that she got to see me clean before she passed on, right? Yes. And one of the things that I don't think I might have told one or two people, so like when I was in the street, some of the times I would call my mother and stuff like, because my mother was in DC, she would ask me where was I at my location or something. If I was somewhere close to her, my mother would actually come in the street and pick me up, take me back to the house, give me that lecture. I didn't raise you like this. You need to leave this stuff alone. Give me something to eat, clean me up, stuff like that. Put a little bit of money in my pocket and stuff like that, and later on ask me where do I want to be dropped off at, And we did this the whole time I was in the street, the whole 25 years. But I never told anybody, I didn't think it was, anything to just be sharing with somebody, But I did. It started with them when them payphones was out there. I go call my mother, Merry Christmas, Mom. I'm glad to hear your voice, Tammi. Because I just didn't know what was going on with that. So that's why I'm calling you, Mom. I just want you to know that I'm all right, okay? Right. And I did that on holidays, her birthday and stuff like that. That's how a lot of times, that's how I knew about maybe my father or my grandmother being sick or somebody passed on. That was the worst of the worst. I called her one time. She told me that my grandmother had passed. She was buried and everything. And that was her mother. That hurt me so bad that my grandmother passed and I did not know it. She was buried and everything by the time I had, got the information. I'm like, oh wow, that was a wake up for me too. Cause now I'm like, oh Lord, what if something happened to my mother, and I'm in the street, am I gonna know it? You start thinking about little things like that. Who else in the family and died I don't know about, Cause it's not like I came from a good home. My mother instilled good values in me, all that kind of stuff. It's just that I made a left when I should have made a right, Mm-hmm. And because my mother, she talked to all us about drugs and all that kind of stuff. Never use them. Drugs is a bad thing, and I guess that's why only 1 out of 6, made it out there in the street. That just had to be me, but I'm gonna go against the grain anyway, But my grandma used to tell me all the time. She said, "You was raised right and you straight, you will find your way back home." And from the time I got clean in 2001 and reached my mother's door, my mother been calling me the prodigal child every time she lay eyes on me.
She said, now before, because I'm getting ready to get into that 2001. So when did it switch from the alcohol to the drugs?
I always was a drinker, and I always drank heavy because that's what was going on in my family. Everybody in my family drank. Everybody in my house had a bar. So by the time I got grown, it was almost a natural thing. My mother drank. My father drank. All my sisters, all my brothers, my aunt, uncles, everybody in the family. But nobody did hard drugs. Mm-hmm. A few of them might have smoked some marijuana here and there, even my mother, but nobody did hard drugs. I'm the only one that far as going out in the street, standing in the street, smoking crack, and just living that street lifestyle. I'm the only one. So I was always a drinker and had problems with that too. Every time I drank, I'm raising hell, fighting, cutting, going to jail. My mother putting me out. Bring your ass over here drinking that stuff today, Tammi. Every time you get to drinking, people was telling me about my drinking problem. And when you're in denial, don't want to hear it, And you can't tell me about my drinking no hand when you drinking just as much as I'm drinking. And the whole family was a hell raiser. So how do I get seen with every time I take a drink, I get to fight. Y'all do too, Right. So that went on death's ear for real, But I think I was about I think maybe I was about my kids went in foster care. I think that was 89. I was introduced to crack in 89. And that thing just took off. It's almost like they said, the first puff, you're addicted. And that thing just took off. I didn't even know I was there, At first, I just thought it was something sociable I was doing. And, and all of a sudden, I'm just running every day, not looking after my kids, leaving my kids with people and, staying gone 2 and 3 days. Matter of fact, the people that I was living with are the ones that called protective services on me. The gentleman that I was going with, me and him was living with his parents. We was renting their basement. And I would leave sometimes, stay 2-3 days, and leave the kids with him. Mm-hmm. And his family had a problem with it. So they just nicely called the people after I get back home, my kids are gone, Wow. And that didn't stop me none. It almost felt like, okay, now my kids gone, I can do what I want to do now. I really started taking off then because I didn't have them to worry about. It wasn't no intentional thing, but I knew that now I can really do what I want to do because there's somewhere somebody looking for them and I don't have to do it.
Right.
And I just went off the railings after they took my kids, I was always in touch with the kids, even the foster home they was in. I had visitation rights and, my rights was never taken from me nowhere that they went. I always could visit or they'd meet me somewhere with the kids. And at the time I was still using, but then I went into a process of getting myself together for the first time and trying to get my kids back. And that didn't work out because I started using again. So I had to let the people know because I didn't have to tell them anything, but I actually called the people and let them know that I had started using again because I did not want them to send my kids home. And I had started using again because I knew what road I was about to go down because I had been there before. I had got clean before, used again, and got clean again. And now I'm trying to get the kids. Matter of fact, they was going to send the kids home. They came, checked the apartment out, everything I was working and everything. And they came to check my apartment to make sure I had, the proper spacing for the kids and all that. And they decided that they was going to send my kids home permanently. And this was the day before Christmas. Mm. I actually used the next day, and my kids was on the way home.
Wow.
I was so messed up with myself. I said, "Oh my God, I gotta call these people and tell these people not to bring these kids home because when you stop using and you pick up again, it's always like you pick up right where you left off at.
Wow.
It's not a gradual thing. It's you take off like a bullet. It's almost like you pick up where you left off at, and you trying to make up for all the time that you was sober. So each time that you get clean and go back out, it get worse and worse for you because it's like you trying to catch back up on that time that you lost. You know, so you ain't forgot nothing because you clean. You know exactly where to go get it. You know exactly who got it.
Yeah.
You know the exact street to go on, all of that. You don't forget none of that because you're clean, you know. So when you pick back up again, bam, you find yourself standing right back in the same place that you left. You find those same people right back around you again. And it's becoming a reality to you. Mm-hmm. Damn, Tammi, you right back in the same damn spot you just left. Now you too ashamed to show your face. You don't want nobody to know you used again. Mm-hmm. But your parents gonna take care of that, you know. Your parents gonna take care of that. You can deny for a little while, but people will start seeing, you know. So
how did you end up on that grate on Pennsylvania Avenue?
I'm not sure how I ended up there. I don't know if somebody showed me or I just winded up there.
Because you didn't know Hawk or any of them down there, right? Or you did know Hawk. I think you said you knew Hawk.
I knew Hawk before Hawk got in the street.
Okay.
Hawk used to have an apartment over Paradise. And I was living on Minnesota Avenue at the time. But at that time, me and Hawk both was just in a drinking stage. And you know how people gather up in the park on a holiday, on weekends and stuff like that, and just drinking and stuff like that. That was the extent I knew Hawk. And when I got down that park and I seen Hawk, I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah, so I knew him before I got down in that park. But I'm not sure how I was. I don't know. Do you remember the guy Penner that I was involved with at that time?
No, I only remember.
I don't know if he introduced me to that grade or whatever. But that was my home for a long, long time. And yes, I claimed it because that grade did a lot of things for me, especially when you're in a homeless position. Actually, the grade was behind the old unemployment building. That's what it was. I think it's a newspaper museum now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And matter of fact, when I got off that grade and went to treatment in 2001, I think the following week, they was tearing all of that down to build that grate. I know about passing this. I said, "Oh my God, I got off this grate just in time."
So now let's get to that. Let's get to that because I told you that. Okay, so we started in '96. It's coming down there every Saturday, feeding. Then it went to every other Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
We were coming. It got to a point, and that was in 2001. Got to a point that I was coming down there and then I didn't see you. And so I'm asking, you know, I see Ricky and them, I see everybody, and I'm asking, so where is Tammi? Where is Tammi? And, you know, they're like, well, we don't know. We don't know. And I did. I was able to see how they started the renovations and everything and the big things that went up for the museum and everything. So I was like, well, where is Tammi? And no one knew. I want you, because you shared with me a little bit, you shared with me how you had that determination to get clean. So I want you to share with them what, starting from the bench. You told me you were sitting on the bench, and then what happened?
Okay. I think it was, everybody has a bottom sooner or later. It could be physical, mental, spiritual. And to start off, what actually happened to me was I woke up that morning in the state that I was in. I didn't know what was going on. I was crying uncontrollably. I would do that for like 10, 15 minutes. And then I would ask the Lord to please help me. I can't live like this no more. Then I would just cry some more. And anytime that I could stop, I would stop crying. That's all I was saying. Lord, please help me. I cannot live like this no more. And I did that for 3 days. I didn't know what was going on at the time. Later on, I learned, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear, and I cried like that for 3 days, just asking the Lord to please help me. And it was on the third day that I had stopped crying. I mean, real serious crocodile tears. I remember the guys and stuff down the park walking up to me, asking me, Tammi, what's wrong? What's wrong? I couldn't even tell them what was wrong, And with me not speaking or being able to tell them, they would just walk on off, So after about 3 days, felt like a weight was lifted off my shoulder. And because I had been in this program twice before, I was able to get up and walk down the program, which was down 2nd and D Shelter on one end of the street, and ask the director of that program, could I come back in there? Now, I had to do this because every time I went in there, I showed off. Didn't want to do what the people say. I want to do me. I don't want nobody to tell me what to do or nothing else. And I always walked out of the program. Want to fight all the ladies in the program, all the men in the program, everything. So she was like, I'm going to let you back in here. She said, and I hope you do the right thing this time. And I swore by her. I said, I'm going to do the right thing. I'm not leaving. I am ready this time. I knew in my heart that I was ready. Anytime you go in treatment for anything other than you deciding that you cannot live the way you living no more, and you want to stop doing what you're doing, you're not going to stay. Court send you, that's not going to work. As soon as that 30 days is up for you to get out of trouble, you go back doing what you're doing. You got to go to treatment, or else you ain't getting your kids back. Even if you go to treatment and get the kids back, as soon as you get the kids back, mission accomplished. Now you're going to use again. The only way you're not going to use again is if you make a conscious decision yourself. Nobody forcing you, pushing you, or nothing. No stipulations on you or anything. I need to get my life together. I'm tired of being in these streets. I'm tired of using drugs and alcohol. That's the only thing gonna work for you. Only thing.
So after you in the program, and how long was the program?
It's actually no time on it because it depends on what you're trying to do and what you're trying to set up. Now, when you first go in, you have to stay inside for like 6 to 8 weeks because you're still detoxing. You're not strong enough to even be outside. Because if somebody walk up to you with something, you're going to take it.
Right.
You're not even stable in a fellowship until you at least get a year clean. They tell you don't make no major decisions, don't get in no relationships or nothing. You just need to work on yourself because some people stay toxic longer than others. So the first 6 to 8 weeks, that's the I won't say. That's the treatment part of it. Once you pass that, then they put you in another phase. Now you're able to go out, look for a job, go back to school, or whatever it is. It's time for you to do the things that you need to do. You know, you need to start off with ID. You got to go downtown and get your ID, do ministry, no ID. You know, you need to get all your identification and stuff together and stuff like that. Now, me, I opted out working immediately when I went in there. You know, because I was ready this time. I left school before I got my education. So once I got clean and I was at a period where I was able to leave off to the floor, I immediately enrolled in school to complete my GED, which I got. Yeah. I always wanted to be a nurse. Once I left there, I went to UDC. I took their course, passed the state board, you know, and I just kept moving. I followed the process this time. I went in treatment. Transitional comes after that. I was in I followed the process. I went to transitional. I did my nursing while I was in transition. That was hard because you got people in there that's, you know, doing what they're doing. Then I went to a SRO, which is single residency for people coming out of treatment. It's affordable rent. Okay. Everybody has their own room. And from there, I became an employee of the same SRO that I was that I had enrolled in. I did that for 10 years. So, you know, I was able to get back for 10 years. Then I moved on again. This job that I'm on now, I'm coming up on 10 years in a couple of months here. You know, so I've been progressing since I've been clean. You know, I did everything I had to do. I went to school for 10 years, you know, free schooling in DC. I took advantage of every bit of it, you know. It was just time to get my life back together, you know. Yes. Somewhat of a care person for my mother, you know. And one of the things that I really want to share is after I got clean, my mother had 6 children. My 3 oldest siblings, they passed like a year and a half time, almost killed my mother. My 2 oldest brothers passed 6 months apart. Then a year and a half later, my sister passed. Then I got another sister under me who passed from breast cancer. So that leaves 2 of us, right? And I get lost in thought sometime, and I say to myself, thank God he got me sober when he got me sober. And I really believe that God got me sober when he got me sober so that someone would be around for my mother when she got older. Because little did I know when I got clean that all my siblings would pass, you know, in that time frame. And I'm just mad. I still say that. I believe that's one of the reasons that God got me sober so that somebody would be around for my mother. And sure enough, it was me. It was, as a matter of fact, I'm the one came over here and found her because I called her on I called her on a certain, I called her 7 o'clock every morning because I know she getting up, getting the coffee, getting herself together. And I call her 7 o'clock every evening because I know she getting ready to put the dog up, lock the house and stuff. So those are 2 times that I know she in here. So what I would do, I would call on the cell phone. She didn't answer the cell phone. Then I would call on the house phone because sometimes she'd be on the cell phone talking. So when I call her and she not answering the cell phone nor the house phone, and I know she in here, I would always jump in my car and come over here. And it's frightful because when I pull up, I see both of her vehicles sitting out there. So I know she in the house, but I can't figure out why she not answering the phone. So my first experience with that was Comcast was working on the lines or something, and all the phone lines and stuff was down. Then the second time it happened, I had just left here that day. She called me over here to put some boards back in the back fence because kids had knocked them out with the board. And I left here about 12 or 1 o'clock. She said she was going to take a nap. I'm like, Mom, I'm going home and take a nap too. When I got up that evening to call her at 7 like I normally do, she did not answer the phone. And when I came over here, I found her like that. That thing almost tore me up. I'm like, oh my Lord, because I always said if something happened to her, I didn't know what I was going to do. But thank God I didn't find it necessary to take a drink.
Yes.
Or do something even worse, because I'm aware that that's not going to bring her back. It's definitely not going to bring her back. And you trust and believe me, if I had took a drink or a drug then, I would not be where I'm at right now either.
Yes.
I would be back down second in D. I know that for a fact. Yes. I know that for a fact. Because I know
going strong for so long. Yes. We didn't want to go back.
But that doesn't make a difference. You got people with 45, 30, 20 years clean and pick back up. Yes. That time does not mean nothing. This is a fight every day. Because, like I said, when you get off drugs and alcohol, you don't forget that stuff. Mm-hmm. A lot of our people go back out on prescription drugs. Mm-hmm. Now, you don't lose your clean time because you had surgery and the doctor gives you some Percocets, long as you take them as prescribed. Right. But when that is gone and you going out there on North Capitol and buying your own Percocets, you're now addicted again. Your clean time is gone. You're back out there again. A lot of people go off medication. Like me, myself, I done had some major surgery since I've been clean. And I tell them, this is in all my records, don't give me no narcotics. I know what they do to me. And it's a thing about the mind. When a doctor gives you narcotics, you already done went in your head. Shit, I'm getting a free high. Oh, how many of these Percocets gonna do for me? So you go home and you start taking 2 and 3 instead of that 1 that they told you to take. Yeah. That's because you're an addict and an alcoholic.
Well,
that's a good thing. That's a good thing when doc put some prescription in my hand, because see, you can legally take them, get a free high because the doctor prescribed.
Right. But so as I'm hearing you saying, even if you are, you have to recognize your triggers and you have to know.
Yes, ma'am. And that's
always go back.
That is always a trigger to an addict when they see drugs. It automatically comes back to you because you know what the drug is, you know how it made you feel, and you know what the drug is going to do to you. Yeah. So most people don't deny it. I had Percocets, I had Oxycontin, all of it. Told Doc, no way. I'm not taking that home with me.
That's right.
And I don't want no narcotic. I had a full hysterectomy and made him take the morphine pump off of me the next morning. That lady was begging. I said, no, ma'am, I'm not hurting. Ma'am, I'm an addict. You got to take this pump off of me.
Right.
You just had major surgery, Miss Wilkerson. You're going to need, no, ma'am, I don't need that. No, ma'am, you got some Motins back there or something? No. I refuse to let somebody put narcotics in me because I know what it's going to do to me.
That's right.
I know what it's going to do to me. And I'm telling you, there is nothing and nobody going to talk me into going back in those streets.
Yes. You determined. That's determination, girl.
And both of them, between the drugs and the homeless, I always said about homelessness, people come in the park and they ask you what's the hardest thing about being homeless, or what's the hardest thing about homelessness. And I have always said this: you can become homeless overnight, but it takes you 5 years or longer to become unhomeless.
Wow.
And I believe that. Because you have to reestablish yourself all over again. You got to get credentials together. You gotta you gotta get back into society, and when you've been in the street for a while and you step back into society, it's almost like, where do I start? You got to do the ID, you got to get back in the workforce, and and it's a little easier when you a person that came from that before you went to drugs.
Right.
Because you don't forget what you know and what you learned before you went out there. Now, a person who has never established themselves and started using drugs and been on it for many a year and finally got clean, they don't know what it is. I mean, we have people now who have never had an apartment before, never had a bank account before, never done a whole lot of things that the actual normal person do, because they never did it before they went to drugs. You understand what I'm saying? So it's nowhere for you. It's nothing for you to pick back up on once you get clean, because you never got it together in the first place. But that's the hardest thing about homelessness to me. Once you get out on them streets and get homeless, I'm telling you, you got to find somewhere to start to be able to get yourself back into society. And that's all. You ain't got no credit. You ain't got no rental history, no work skills, none of that kind of stuff. So it's almost like, where do I start? It's almost like being institutionalized in jail. You come out and bam, you just out there, and it's all of this stuff that you need to do or trying to do, and you have no idea how to do it. And the worst part about it is you too ashamed to say something to somebody or ask somebody for some help with it.
Right.
It's a lot of shame and a lot of things that you have never done before, especially when you get to a certain age. You have people raise their hand and meet and say, oh my God, I'm 50 years old. I never had a bank account before. That's normal to us because we are each other and we all have experienced the same thing. But to somebody who's never been where we've been, they look at you like, what? Are you serious? But see, when we hear things like that, it's normal to us because we know when you're dealing with drugs and alcohol, anything is possible. Anything is possible. So whatever you hear, it's normal to us, where that's why a lot of people, when they get themselves together, it's not divulged to certain people. That's why Alcoholics Anonymous is anonymous. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't want people to know.
Right.
I have no problem sharing my story. It is what it is. Mm-hmm. I'm clean today. How about that? I actually have.
Wait a minute, Tammi, before you finish, let me just say this piece. If anybody have any questions they want to ask Tammi, she said she would take some questions. So if you put the questions in the comments, I will put them up so she could answer them. Okay, go ahead, Tammi.
Yeah, I actually have a baby sister that won't let it go. Never done nothing to her, been in the street most of my life, and all she can say out of her mouth is, all them years you've been in the street. Mm-hmm. And it just stops right there for her. Ain't no congratulations. You've been clean 22 years. Oh, tell me you doing so well now. I get none of that from her. And you learn that when you go in there. Some of your family just not going to accept, And I don't know why she's in that space. I've been clean 22 years, and you still saying all the like she makes it I'm undeserving after all the years I've spent in the street. Even though I've been clean 22 years, she just won't let it die. I mean, but I don't let it affect me because I do what I do and I keep on moving. You know what I'm saying? That ain't the worst that happened to me because you stuck in the past. That is not the worst that happened to me in my life.
Right. Again, if there are questions that you want to ask Tammi, whatever questions you want to, she says she's open and she will answer them. And trust me, she will be transparent in answering any questions you have about being homeless, about the addiction, or if it's something that you want to know, if it's someone in your family or someone you know that's going through something and you have a question or something you want to know, it's okay to ask her. While we're seeing if anybody have any questions that they want to ask you, I want you to talk about your children because we know that they were in foster care. So just talk a little bit about and where they are now. We have probably about under 15 minutes left.
I never lost contact with them or anything like that, but life is good now. I'm 61. I got 22 years clean, uninterrupted. All my kids in my life. I got grandbabies. Every holiday we out. I mean, they dragged me out of here. But my worst fear when I got clean was that my kids would not accept me because I was not in their life. And I mean, they come over here and drag me up out of here. Mother's Day, all the things that I miss from their life when they were smaller, I get to do it through my grandbabies.
Right.
I just did. My son has 2 girls. We just did her graduation, the baby girl. So both of them are out of school. My daughter has a son. He graduates 24. So that'll be the last graduation that I had. I mean, we do all of this out stuff and Mother's Day, we went to, what is it, Fogo de Chão, how you say that time? Fogo, huh?
What is it, a restaurant?
Yes, where they come around with all the meat on the stores and put different meats on your plate.
Like Kobe's, like the Japanese place?
No, we went there for the graduation. Fogo de Chão is, they cook a lot of, I don't know what you would call it, but they got all the meat on the soup, lamb, all kind of beasts that you can name, and they come around to all the tables and you tell them what you want and they just pull off the store on your plate. I mean, it's real nice. It's real nice. I went my job before on Pennsylvania Avenue, but the kids took me to the harbor.
Okay.
So you know what I'm talking about?
I never been there. I got to try this place.
Look it up when you get a chance.
Yeah, and it's on Pennsylvania Avenue?
It's one on Pennsylvania Avenue, but it's not like the one out the harbor.
Oh, okay. It's one out the harbor.
That one out the harbor. They also do brunch.
Okay.
And that's where we planned on taking my son today for Father's Day, but he got some little stuff going on, so he's not feeling it, He got 2 kids, so I don't know. The kids might do something, for him, or he might go out to dinner a little bit. Just because he ain't feeling it, that don't excuse that you got 2 daughters and recognize you as their father. So they probably gonna drag him out somewhere anyway. And I hope he do that because he's in a real bad funk, But
okay, but yeah, anyway. Keep his spirits lifted. We do have a question for you. Somebody said, "Thank you for sharing your story. God has great plans for you. What do you see in your future?"
Oh man, I see retirement coming up now. Continuing to stay sober. That's what I'm waiting on now, retirement. I'm 62, I'm almost there.
Mm-hmm.
I've done all the schooling I wanted to do, family back in my life, it's just family stuff now. I miss so many years, Sometimes I be so tired on my couch, don't want to get up. The kids drag me up out of here. My oldest daughter, she like planning stuff. She like that family stuff. Okay. I be like, your mother is tired when to lay on this couch, girl. For real, Mom. I just get up and go, okay, Tammi, the kids are back in your life. So, then a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But, yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to retirement. I ain't trying to do too much more. I got a nursing license, so when I retire and stuff like that, then I plan on doing a little bit of nursing, I don't want to be, retire 5 days and work 5 days, but I do want to put my nursing skills, as something. So I'll probably retire, do a couple of days of nursing, keep the other 3 days for myself or whatever the case may be.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Tammi, I want to say this. I'm gonna say it again. You know, you, my girl, has been since day one. Since I met you, day one.
Mm-hmm.
I just
You were something special. You were something special to all us.
it was a
You
connect.
may be more, but I swear, when you hit that part, Ricky get to run around that place. Tammi down here, Tammi down here, Tammi. He put the word all over the whole part. You were something real special to all of us.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I tell you what it was. You was more patient, tolerant, and caring of us than anybody who came down in that way. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all made my day. You know that. Y'all made my. I didn't want to leave. You know, I get down there 8-something in the morning, 8 o'clock, 8:30.
Yeah,
and we down there. It's be 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. I'm still down there. We just talking, and I just didn't want to leave. I'm like,
yeah, you was real special to us. Everybody came to attention once somebody said you was down there. Yeah, you was real special.
I knew it was something kind of special because everybody else will come down there if they bring y'all something to eat, and y'all will take it. But it was like
because they didn't have that you know how some nurses don't have that bedside manner. They didn't have that thing that you had.
Oh,
you talk on our level. You didn't talk to us like we was a piece of shit. You know, and you really had that. You really gave off that caring thing. You was a caring person to us, and we knew the difference. Because, like I said, when you're home, people don't want you around. You're getting beat down all the time. Get out this doorway. You gotta go somewhere else with that. You know, you just suffered around all day. But you had that good bedside manner. We could see it in you that you cared, and it wasn't a fake thing. You know what I'm saying? And you took care of us the best that you could. That was a good day for us when you came through. Oh. That was a very good day for us whenever you came through. I'm not sure if you was aware of that, but you was very special to every one of us down there. Every one of us. Wasn't that many. It ain't that many left either.
There are many left. But...
And that's another blessing. I swear, once I got clean, I started getting all them calls. I'm like, I sit sometime and I say to myself, I said, oh, wow, Tammi, everybody down there done passed on and you still here.
Yeah.
And I am so grateful every day because I could have been gone just as well. I was doing everything they was doing. Doing everything that they was doing.
I remember you telling me it was like you was going in alleys, you didn't care what was going on. Could have been shot, could have been anything.
That's just part of being involved with that. That's just a normal everyday thing. You don't care. You got one mission to get where you're going, get what you need to get. That's it. That's all. We don't care who involved. We don't care where it at or none of that. We going. And you go like that all day long. People shooting, people robbing, all that kind of stuff. You don't care about none of that stuff. When you on crack, I'm telling you, there is nothing that you care about except getting some more. You wake up in the morning with the intentions on getting something. You go to sleep at night with the intention on getting something. All day long, your intentions is to get something. It's highly addictive. I'm telling you.
And I want to say this too. I say that you was kind of running things down there, but I need to let them know, y'all, she ain't weigh no more than, Tammi, you was small. I don't know how much, but you ain't weigh no more than nothing and down there running stuff and fighting and, small. She wasn't big as nothing.
Because they knew I was going to jump on. You know, when you out there, wherever you sleep, you get territorial.
Yeah, you were. You,
like I said, migrate.
That's right.
This is migrate. Get off. Get off. And you get territorial because you're in the type of space that you're in. You know what people are capable of. So then where I was at, that like 7 or 8 of us, we bonded. And anytime somebody showed up down there in our space, they had to go. You don't sleep here, you don't live here, go. Don't even come down our house with that kind of stuff. And that's the same. If we went up the street to somebody else, they're going to tell us, y'all got to get going.
Right.
You don't live here. You know, they got stuff out there. You're going to steal my blanket. You're going to steal my bag. You know, that kind of stuff. When you're dealing with somebody that is not a part of your group, something always happens. Just like every time Dion came around, it was chaos every time Dion came around.
Yeah, it was, but Dion was my buddy. I know, but you know, I had a special place for Dion.
Yeah.
I know he was.
But see, you got not there with us, and you didn't know the havoc that he was, you know, that he was putting on us.
No, y'all told me.
When he get innocent.
Y'all told me I don't want Dion down here because he be taking, and I just be like, "Come on, Dion, don't do that again." I know y'all told me.
Yeah, but, that was one of the people we didn't want to blame. But because you're in that type of environment where people that use drugs and stuff will do any and everything, you can't trust anybody. That's what the territorial piece come in at. If you coming from Massachusetts, you coming in, we don't know you. We don't know what you're gonna do. You're gonna steal our stuff. You might even do something worse because we know the behavior of people who use. Right. But when we're in a small group and you bond, we know what each other is capable of. We're not gonna do anything to hurt each other. But when somebody strange show up, we all have the feeling that they're gonna do something.
Right. And I want to say this when we're talking about Dion didn't stay down there. He just came down there every now and then, but he was
when he came to do something, he had no business doing. Don't try to fix it, Tammi.
I know, but y'all know I like Dion. I know. But yeah, so he would come, but he didn't live there, but he would come, and then they didn't want to be bothered because Dion was something.
He lived wherever he could. He was just as homeless as the rest of us. He was one of those undercover people. I'm not doing bad.
Yeah,
I look good. You know what I'm saying? When he did come around, he fresh and cleaned up. I could have went on 930 Club and looked just as good as he did. But you're not fooling us.
Right. But y'all, I want to say
smoking crack tells it all.
Right.
Once we know you smoke crack, you cannot fool us. Right. Because crack does not discriminate. It do the same thing to everybody. So all of that faking, it wasn't working. It wasn't working.
He knew that y'all wasn't going to take but so much off of him. And so half of the time, most of the time, when I was getting ready to leave, he kind of like left. Then he didn't stay down there long. Because he knew that y'all didn't fool with him. Yeah, but I want to say y'all the bond that y'all had was tight, and that y'all looked out for each other.
Because that's what you have to do when you're actually physically living on the street. Now, if I'm on my grade and the rest of them walked off, somebody got a liquor store or something like that, anybody I see, anybody come down there, like if they go over there where Hawk sleep at, I'm getting ready to go over there and find out why you over here. Right. This is Hawk bed over here. Why are you over here? You getting ready to do something you ain't got no business doing. And that's the piece where I say we bond. If we see somebody down there, all of us ain't got to be there. Whoever is there is going to let you know that somebody been there when you get back from the store or wherever you went to do something, get something, whatever. Whoever's down there going to let you know that somebody been up there. Tell me somebody was up on your grate while you was down. So now I go up there and I look around, see if anything missing, see if everything where it's supposed to be. Or Hawk might come back on Hawk. Some guy was up there on your grade. I went over there to see what he wanted. I ain't know him. You know, just to let you know it was a stranger because I didn't know his face. You know, that's how we did down there. You can't just come down here and do anything, you know?
Right.
And that was big on I swear.
Y'all was tight. I was tight.
He was like poison.
Y'all were tight. And like you said, some of them, most of them are gone. But you're here, and
I just kept getting calls, Tammi. Then I didn't know where you was. I gave Tom my phone number 6 years ago to give you, because I knew that you were still coming down there and that you didn't know where I was.
Right.
And when Tom mentioned that church, I said, that's Tammi Church. I recalled the name of the church. He was actually talking to me about his church.
Mm-hmm.
I said, do you got a young lady named Tammi that go to your church? He said, yeah, I got a young lady in there. I said, give her my number and tell her to call, but you never called.
Right. And I went to Texas. And then when I came back.
I said, Tom, did you give Tammi my number? Tammi, for some reason, I don't see her in the text no more. And that's why I got lost and disconnected. All he could say was that he didn't see you in the church no more.
Right. Mm-hmm. And I moved, and then I came back. But then when he gave me this number this time, I said, I got to call her.
I am so glad that you called me. I am so glad that you. I've been talking about you for a week. I've been all telling people this young lady that used to come in the park and help me out when I was homeless on the street. She called me the other day. I've been telling everybody.
Oh,
my boss, everything.
But I want to say this before we go. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. I see what determination looks like. And I'm just proud of you. And I'm just like, I don't have words because it's just like, this is Tammi. Like, oh my goodness. But I am so proud of you.
They had seen me before and they wouldn't believe
it. They can't. That's why I try to paint this picture with us telling it, because they didn't. They just see you now. You looking all pretty and stuff, and your face.
I'm telling you, it was not good. I came there. I was $1.25.
Yes. They just see you now.
I was 190 now. I was
190.
Yeah.
Oh, we gotta talk. You know, we're gonna continue talking. But I just want to thank you. Thank you for doing this. I know you said you haven't done this before, but I said it's just a conversation. We just talking.
Well, it's almost the same as sitting in an AA meeting.
That's it. It's just
AA meeting is an hour. You talk about 15 or 20 minutes.
Okay.
Do secretary report. Then you open the meeting up for people to raise their hand because you do a topic.
Okay.
When you're in the meeting, you do a topic. After the halftime, then you open the meeting up and people raise their hand and you call on the hands that you see raised, and they just ask you questions or they share, something that relates to them with the topic that you threw out.
And this was needed. This was needed because someone knows someone that's been there, whether it's homeless, addiction, and having this conversation can help them better understand the person, better help the person, better communicate with the person, so it's just because we all know someone. And so this was needed. And like I always say, reach with love. When we reach out to people, reach with love. And if we reach with love, that's all we can do. Because once we reach with love, everything else will fall into place. Because if I just would have been like, oh, well, I got cussed out. Oh, I'm done. Oh, but that wasn't it, because I couldn't stop, because I knew it was something more than what was being told to me. I knew it was this woman behind whatever is going on, and I didn't know your issues. I don't know why you out. I don't know why. So if I just would have been like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
Would that have landed?
You wasn't one of those people who came and feed us and just rolled off, just came to do that deed. You talked, you became a part of us again. Like I said, I'm not sure that you was aware of it, but you was very special to all of us. Even when you left, they were still talking about you. You might show up and all this thing down that park. Ricky get to run around, Tammi in the park, Tammi in the park. Everybody break out the running. You was just so
I can see that visual of him running around too.
Bam. Tammi down there. I mean, he ran around and let everybody know. Yes.
I can see it.
But you was real special to us, especially being out there in the mindset that we was in. Because it wasn't every day that people came down there, and was really concerned about us and asked us questions and wanted to do something to help us.
Right.
And what really made you special to me was when you came and got me and carried me to your family house and got me together so I can be at my son's graduation. That was real special
girl,
for me.
Don't make me cry.
Ain't no way I would have thought nobody would have done nothing like that for a homeless person sleeping on the street. Because when you first mentioned it, I thought you was joking at first.
No, I was trying to come get you, and you going
because that kind of caring for us, again, like I said, people treat you like shit out there. That kind of caring for us is real rare. But we know it when we see it.
Right.
And that's what made you so special. You and all the young ladies, y'all were so patient with us. It was almost like y'all treated us like you would treat your kids. Y'all was tender, gentle. You never said a harsh word to us. You never act like we was getting on your nerve. Y'all was real patient with us. You didn't act like you were scared. Some people come feed us. They act like they scared to death. You can see it all over them. You can see it in their demeanor and everything. And you was just a down-to-earth person all the way around. All of y'all was.
Oh,
all of y'all was.
Thank you. And again, I started off
you right where you're supposed to be and evangelizing. You right where you're supposed to be.
Thank you, Tammi.
That's who you are.
I started off this podcast saying that this was dedicated to my sister, who is no longer with us. She has transitioned. Sister Sharon Juhan. She started this journey with me, feeding in the park. And again, this episode is dedicated to her. And we were a team. And again,
y'all was very special. Very special to us.
Thank you. And I want to thank everyone who joined us tonight for this conversation. And what a conversation it has been. So again, reach with love. Don't forget, we will be back with Reachable Talk next month, third Sunday at 6:00. Be sure, if you have not subscribe to this channel. Click the bell so you can get notifications of when we go live or when we have a new video or something that we want to share. Subscribe, click the bell notification. Again, reach with love. Until next time. Goodbye.
All right. Thank you for having me.